following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, I'm Christine.
And I'm Janice.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit.
Hell yeah, it is.
Today's just a bullshit kind of day.
It kind of is. It's actually been kind of a bullshit week for me. I don't know about you, but I'm hearing it from lots of other people as well. This really just wasn't people's week.
No.
Nope.
Not. It's not working for me. Yeah, I'm pretty positive most of the time, and I, hang in there, and I'm a badass, and I'm like, whatever, I'm strong and independent, but today, not my day.
Well, it's Friday, and you know what? When it comes to interpersonal issues, those things can really rock you. So
yes,
be easy on yourself.
My hair is freaking me out here. So
I would
hi,
say
Janice.
your hair is the least of your problems. You look great.
No shit. Thank you. So, how's your week been, Janice?
Well, yeah, a little up and down, a little rough, I had a good weekend. I hosted a Pioneer Day party for a bunch of ex-Mormons here in Denver on Sunday,
Nice.
but had, kind of some personal drama that sadly went along with it that, didn't really thrill me, and was dealing with that through the week. And continued to be dealing with it. But this is just how it goes when you are in romantic relationships, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of in that boat right now.
I mean, it's like everything that you navigate with a person, you're really navigating for the first time. And, for me, it was conflicts and thinking about, what is and is not things that I want in my life. And it can be really tricky when you, got the feels.
Yep. It really can be tricky. Yeah.
But you know what? We do the best that we can, and take it day by day. That's what I've been doing, and also just knowing, sometimes the heart has a mind of its own, and that's okay as well.
Yeah.
And luckily, I have some really good friends who supported me, most of all, Christine. And so it made me really realize, I've got really good, powerful female support in my life, and that really got me through. And like I was saying, tomorrow's Friday. And that's really all I need is the weekend. I think a weekend is such a good fresh start on things.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Phil.
So nice to have you, Phil.
It feels like Janice is back on the market. Well, I just hit a little snag, and things will be fine. I don't, it's too fresh right now to talk about it. Normally I'm pretty open about my life. It's just when you're navigating a new relationship, you really are, like you said, experiencing things for the first time. And I thought some things that I had worked through personally had gone away, but they went away because I wasn't in a relationship and those issues weren't front and center. So I'm actually learning how to navigate how to work through those in a relationship where I've never been able to do that before because my person was never patient or understanding. And Sean is very patient and very understanding. Not so much today.
Well, everyone has their moments, and that's one of the really beautiful things about being in relationships is it helps you to kind of find out where your rough edges are. It helps you to continue to process certain things, especially if it's with the right person, but even if it's not with the right person. I mean, this is, about discovering yourself and, an opportunity for a lot of self-growth. And so I wish that for you. And it sounds to me like you might have uncovered something that you're still working through. And that's part of, being a person who works on themselves. It's part about being a conscious person, which I know both of us consider ourselves to be.
Yeah, and it's hard when you have been through a lot of trauma and you think that every day you're getting better and better as a person and as as a person. And and I keep working through things, and I think that I've done pretty damn good for myself. It just I'm in a relationship like I've never had before, and so working through those kinks is challenging.
Yep.
So,
And things, I think sometimes sounds like you expect that certain things are going to happen and you start anticipating them. And, hopefully you're, with someone kind of carry you through that.
Well, it's kind of like Pavlov's dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely.
When or a bear in a cage, you poke that bear every motherfucking day, its whole life, and then you leave it alone, and it's like, oh wow, the bear thinks he's content and happy, and then a person comes along and he immediately expects somebody to poke him and prod him again, and that's not easy to deal with. And I'm trying, and I hope he's trying. We'll see.
We will see. But honestly, what I hope for you is a rejuvenating weekend, and that you allow yourself to bring that in and call in, a bit of relaxation, and also just to go easy on yourself. I mean, yes, we're conscious women, but we're also human, and women who have been through a lot in our lives, and we're allowed to get triggered.
Yeah. And I get triggered just like anybody else. And this is the thing though. What we're talking about now is really relevant to what the show is about today. Mm-hmm. Today's show is about love after heartbreak. And it's not just about finding the love after a heartbreak. It's also finding who you are and healing. And it doesn't matter if you found the love or not. If you're not healing or have healed, it's the same things are going to repeat itself. And that's what I'm trying desperately not to do, is repeat those cycles. And I've changed it. I know I've changed it up by choosing a better man and a better person to spend my time with, and to share that love with. But I also have to trust that I'm still making those wise decisions, and he's the person that he says he is. So
I was going to say, trust yourself that you chose wisely, and awareness is, half the battle when it comes to continuing to overcome our past trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, today we are talking about love after heartbreak, and learning to love again after that is really not easy. And our guest today is going to discuss how to do that. Kaye Parker is an intentionally recognized influencer and mental health advocate committed to breaking the silence and the stigma surrounded around miscarriage. She also talks a lot about that, and I can relate to that. I've had one myself. She's been in the public eye for a lot of her life. Let's see, today, after surviving multiple challenges, she can move on and grow, and she's here to help us talk about that. When she talks about getting through things, she can really, I think, describe what those best actions are. So let's bring on Kaye and have her tell us more about herself.
Hello.
Hey, Kaye.
Hi.
Gorgeous thing. How are you?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I'm all
good.
like sporty today.
Yeah, I'm sporty. I got my right? Jersey on.
You do. I've got a tank. It's summer. That's the time to be sporty.
Hey, it's for those people who are listening and not watching. Those guys when you're dating that says, "What are you wearing?" Well, we just did that for you.
Don't you remember a couple weeks ago one of my neighbors texted that to me?
Yeah.
Oh man, not the right choice on his part at all. That blew up in his face like you can't believe.
I love that. Hi, Kaye. So tell us about you.
Me, I don't know where to start. I guess with that bio, I'll kind of go from there. I know we're talking about love, so I'll just get right to that aspect of my life. When I was 13 years old, I met this boy, and he was 2 years older. And the first thing he said to me at my semi-formal was, "You're going to be my wife one day." And he, ever since then, he was like adamantly like, "I want her. I'm going to date her." I made him wait like 11 years just to like be with me intimately. Like I never saw him in that light. Like he was always my best friend, but I never, like, it's one of those things. Little TMI, sorry, buddy. But when we were intimate, when we finally decided to start dating, we got pregnant right away. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is the universe's like sign. Like, I got to be with this guy. So we decided to get married. We were married for, oh, he's going to hate me, seven years. So we were married for 7 years. We had 3 children, and right before COVID, we had our 4th pregnancy, and then it ended up being a late miscarriage. And that alone.
Sorry. I said, I'm so sorry.
I thought you couldn't hear me. No, it's okay. And with that miscarriage, I'm not really, unless you want me to get into it, it's a whole story alone on that. It was very complicated. There was so much that caused such mental strain. It wasn't a typical miscarriage. Nothing about it was. Nothing about my life is typical, so I don't know why I expected anything less. And then when he passed away, that's when we decided to go and kind of try to save our marriage. We decided to go to Vegas, and as soon as we landed in Vegas, we got mugged, and they took everything we had. And then COVID happened. My God. And it was like one thing after another for the past couple of years, which literally led me to like insanity. I was in such a flight, fight, or freeze mode. I was in my primal state. I couldn't even recognize myself. And my actions, my thoughts, like nothing was me. And I didn't feel seen. I wasn't heard. I wasn't supported. And I remember throughout the whole entire time of grieving, I grieved alone, and he wasn't there. Yeah. And I know men and women, they deal with things differently. And I know that he wasn't pregnant. He didn't feel the baby growing. So he couldn't really relate to the experience that I was experiencing and what I was feeling. My ex-husband's also very not emotional type of person. And at that time, I just really needed to feel like seen and heard, essentially, was it.
Is everybody still there? Oh.
I have a storm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we just had a little glitch. Hey, Kate,
okay, I just posted because it's like pouring, and I might just have to turn my Wi-Fi off.
If something happens and we lose you, Kate, all you have to do is click out of the stream, go back to the email, click back in the studio, and we'll continue. Same thing. If you lose me, we'll keep going, and I click out and I go right back in. Perfect. And it'll be fine. Okay.
But yeah, it was just a very rough time, which essentially led me into making some really poor out of character choices. And the very first thing when I started my healing journey was to acknowledge those choices. And for women, we get so much shame and guilt, and just generally, and especially when we know we're doing something out of character and we have to like kind of look it directly in the face. That's the hardest thing, because you have to be accountable in order to heal. And when you're the only one being accountable, it kind of gets like this bitterness and resentment. And then you expect the other person to grow alongside you. And that was the biggest thing in my healing journey, is that I'm very open. My ex-husband's very private. And I had to really learn how to let go of expectation. And the thing that I just finally am resolving is the letting go of the need to control. And when you're married and you're in a union, you have that control. You got to work together. You got to make judgments and all that stuff. But when you're separated and now he's with another woman, you lose that control. And that was a really big thing for me in the very trying to just get used to the new life. And I couldn't understand it. And so now with healing, I started Trials and Tribulations. So that's my own podcast. And that's essentially, I created a platform where people can come on and they just talk about their experiences and what made them who they are today. And my goal was to create a platform where there is no judgment. You say and you feel and you're seen and you're heard. And I want that so badly for people, because if people knew that we all share the same emotions, we all go through the same feelings, things might be a little differently, but at some point everybody felt anxiety. Everybody felt sadness. And if people took judgment out of it and just really focused on empathy and compassion and understanding, our world would be a much better place. So that's why I created Trials and Tribulations. I want people to come on my show and be like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that. And it doesn't matter what we look like. It doesn't matter where we're from. Everybody just wants to be loved, and everybody wants to be seen and heard. So that's why that's, I guess, why I am my purpose.
I love that. So the question I'm trying to get to that my brain won't let me get there is, what do you think your first step was in learning to heal, to get over that heartache or to work through that heartache?
The first thing was to get me physically well. So when I say physically, is getting yourself in a routine. So a lot of your serotonin and things that kind of make you are things that you can just do naturally. Just going outside, drinking water, taking time to fully rest. If things stress you out, don't do them. It's very simple. I started recently just making a conscious choice to be like, does this bring me happiness? Does this choice bring me peace? And if it doesn't, I let it go. It's very simple. But it's a hard concept. But once you start doing it, you realize, oh, this is not so bad. And I lost a lot of people and I lost a lot of things. But then when I looked at it, they weren't aligned with me, and that's fine. And I let people walk away, and I was told I was selfish, and I was told I was inconsiderate. And I was like, why? Because I stopped being a people pleaser, because I stopped putting everybody else in front of me, and I finally put the oxygen mask on myself first, because I'm finally taking time to meditate and eat and take care of my children and to do things that make me happy. That was my first thing, especially after miscarriage and the complications I had. I really needed to be healthy, because if you're not healthy, your brain's not healthy. And if your brain's not healthy, how can you expect yourself to heal? So drinking that water, going outside, resting, exercise, that is like the first step. Once you create a solid foundation of being physically well, then I would start creating just a consistent schedule of things that you do every single day. And my mentor, she has a book called The Habit Tracker, and it's called Your Success Guide. And it honestly saved me. And it was just a book where I could track everything. And for me, I'm like a child. I used to have this big bristle board, and I'd give myself stickers every time, like I drank water. And that's how I tracked everything.
I do it too.
It's there. Exactly. I love that.
I love it.
And like, I have stickers of affirmations on my door where it's like, you're beautiful. You're a great mom. You did it today. And like, I swear to God, if people come in my house, they're like, this girl is crazy. She has sticky notes everywhere. But for me, it's like, no, like, I'm not crazy. I finally am learning to love myself. And sometimes, especially on days like this week has also been bad for me. And I swear, it's like the new moon's coming and something crazy is going on. But
it is.
It was really just taking that time to focus on what you need and who you are. And I realized that when I took the judgment away from like having sticky notes and doing the things I was doing, more people came into my life who are very healthy and happy, who do the exact same things. They're like, no, that means you're growing. That means you're healing. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do that too. And then you feel less lonely, and you just start to put yourself into the same kind of soul tribe. That's what I like to call it.
I love that. There's a listener who's connected with me on Clubhouse and on Facebook, and she was messaging me today, and I said today's show is perfect for her, because we were talking and I told her one of the most important things, because she said she felt guilt about not saying yes to certain people in her life. And I said, you know what, there's no guilt in putting yourself first. You should be guilty of not putting yourself first. And I said, we're not responsible for other people's feelings. Unless you're being just an asshole and you're, just spewing crap out there. That I think you should be responsible for. But when we're trying to serve ourselves and make ourselves better and healthy and happy, we shouldn't have to worry about having to take care of other grown adult people's feelings when we have to say no, or we have to make choices that suit us better. That oxygen mask, I talk about that all the time.
It's hard. And for somebody, especially women, I feel like women always want to show that they can do everything, because we're super heroes. We love people pleasing. We're like, we can do work, we can be a mom, we can be a wife, we can be an entrepreneur, like we can do it all, and we do it all. But we go very thin. And I think I know exactly what it feels like, and I know exactly, I can relate to her so deeply. And
me too.
Even recently I had to put boundaries up, and putting boundaries up in the beginning is very hard to do. And you get this like weird feeling in your stomach, and you're like, oh my gosh, what was I? Because you're so used to doing things that are unhealthy for you that it becomes a normal part of you. And so when you start changing into normal, like better habits, then your body's like, and your brain is like, wait, what are we doing? Are you sure this is safe? Like, is this, why are we changing? But this is what we're used to. This is what we do. Let's just stay with our old ways. Let's not break any patterns, because this is comfortable. And I have multiple coaches and therapists, and I know one of them was like, isn't it funny that you find pain and comfort? Your comfort is pain. But she's like, just imagine what it would be like on the other side. What new comfort you could have. Just, you have to put the steps in to get yourself to a place where you can be like, oh, this is what respect feels like. This is what it feels to be empowered. This is what it feels like to be independent and have high self-value and high self-worth. But your body is not used to it, because you're stuck in old patterns, and your inner voice is like a computer. And I say this over and over and over again. Like, even I want to kick myself, even saying that, when I say I'm crazy or I want to kick myself for doing that, I'm telling my brain that I'm crazy and that I should kick myself for calling myself crazy. And it's something that you have to be really conscious about. I just did it. And what you say is what you tell yourself, which turns into your belief and system and your inner voice. So
I think a month ago I had someone on, her name is Dawn. If anybody has a chance to go back and listen to that, she was saying the same thing you are. We have to retrain ourselves on how to speak. Not say the negative bullshit that we are telling our brains that we should be thinking that. Like, I by me saying I'm insecure, my brain's like, yes, you're insecure. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's anything like that, or I'm not worthy. My brain's going, oh, you're not worthy, bitch, and so it's very important that we stop and think about how we say things and how we do things, because it's the power of positive thinking and the power of what we're telling our brains.
Exactly. And create body memories by practicing, because you do feel it in your body when you're uncomfortable saying certain things, and your body will get used to it, and then it'll become easier.
And your body is 80% of water, like 80% water. It's full of memory, and every organ is actually like has a metaphysical response to trauma. So I would hold my kidneys, and some days my kidneys would be pounding. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And that's where you store anger. And so then I go, oh, okay, I need to take a step back. Why am I angry right now? Your body will tell you exactly what's going on. And that's why I really, really encourage everybody to meditate. Just taking that moment of silence, doing a body scan. You start from the top of your head, close your eyes, and just feel every aspect. Go as slow or as fast as you want to start. Your body will tell you what's wrong. And then if you want to take a step further, just Google metaphysical response to your throat, like your sore throat. I guarantee you it's because you're not being heard and you have a problem with your throat chakra and speaking. And everything is connected. And I know this week I heard what you guys were speaking about before. And one of the other things, the last part of like, well, not the last part of healing, but a big component to my healing process is, again, it's the words and the feelings. And people love to distract themselves. People love to mask. And for the past couple of years, I was so focused on healing my miscarriage that I didn't even realize that I was in the process of getting a divorce. And it wasn't until these past couple of weeks when my ex-husband brought in a new woman, and now that woman's around my children, and my kids come home and they're like, oh my gosh, she did this and she did that. And my ego is so angry. And I had those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be replaced? Are they going to love her more than me? And she doesn't have kids. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her. I'm going to send her an email. We can sit down and we can just kind of clear the air. And I was hoping to have this like beautiful, I had this idea in my head that I was like, we're both going to sit and we're going to chat, and I can express to her my feelings. She'll express her feelings. We can take the kids out together. And like, I just had all these beautiful ideas. She instantly blocked me. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was hard to handle, because here she is spending time with my children, but yet she won't communicate with me at all. And so this is why you can't have expectations, because then you get hurt. And she doesn't have to talk to me. She doesn't have to do anything. And it was a really hard thing. So I call my therapist and I call my mentors, because here I am crying, and every day I was crying. And then my mentor was like, okay, you clearly have finally come to realization that your ex-husband has moved on. This is the reality of a divorce, and there is nothing you can do about it. So at this point, you have to feel the feelings, let it go, and accept where you're at and move forward with your life. And I've cried every single day about my marriage. And it's not because I want him back. It's because I'm grieving the expectation I put on myself as a mother, as a wife, as a life that I was supposed to live. I had so much resentment that my ex and I had to struggle. And we went through so many hurdles as 20-year-olds trying to like build this beautiful life. And now he's successful, and he now gets to share his success with somebody who wasn't there through the hard times. And that was hard. Like, I never got an engagement ring. And now I'm thinking, after that divorce, she's going to have this beautiful ring on her finger if that's what he chooses. And then the resentment crawls back in. And so I really had to just allow myself to feel the feelings, because again, if I distracted in a way where I was focusing so much on, like I said, my son passing away, which was fine. And now I have to move towards a new type of healing. But it is, if you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. Don't scream at your ex-husband. That's not going to help you. Don't scream at the new girlfriend. That's not going to, none of those things are going to help you. But go on a hill, take a hike, and scream. I, like, in Vegas, after I got mugged, I like went to like one of those break rooms. I took bats and I was just going nuts. And you just have to allow yourself to release all that is not serving you in a healthy way. And so for me, I just had actually my 32nd birthday yesterday.
Oh, so happy birthday.
Thanks. I made this public post, And I said, my desires for my 32nd year is to co-parent effectively and communicate with my ex and his partner. And I said to his partner, even I knew she wasn't going to read it, but I said, I am grateful for you. I am grateful that you came into my children's life because you provide their soul with laughter and happiness. I'm grateful that you are taking time out of your life to put yourself in a situation that's probably not easy to be in. And doing this allows me to be able to let go and be the bigger person because I can't control anything else but myself. So if I go, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, and then my ego steps in and it's angry or resentful, I go, nope, I made this post. I am grateful. Because as long as my kids are happy and healthy, I am grateful. And it's a hard thing to do. But there is literally no other way.
Well, being grateful is also one of the easiest ways to, raise your vibration, which, helps you to feel better regardless of, how shit things are.
Yeah.
So, Kaye, tell us, in your opinion, so we look at ourselves, we heal ourselves from the inside out. We start speaking properly to be more positive and to manifest incredible things into our life, and we become grateful for where we are. So now we're in a place to find love. And how do you think that we should be, how do you think we can do that? How do you think finding love moving forward is the best way that we can do? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
I'm not talking right today.
Are you saying what is the best way to find love after a trauma like this?
Yes.
You don't find it. You don't find it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No. And the universe will provide in the divine timing. So it's so funny because along the way, the universe is going to test you to see if you're even ready for it. So this is the best part. Everybody thinks, oh, I've healed. I'm great now. Like I did all my emotional distress tracking. I'm manifesting. I'm going out. I'm meditating. I'm walking. I'm drinking the water. Look at me. I'm so healthy. And then the universe is like, yeah, all right. And then here comes somebody into your life and you're like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is everything I wanted. And then a little red flag comes in and you're just like, I see you, but I'm healed and I'm in a relationship and it's really about like working as a team and, and you start to come up with these excuses. But the fun thing is people come into your life because they're a mirror of you. So when you get really agitated about something, you have to ask yourself, well, why? Why is that specific thing bothering me so much? Because I can guarantee you it's something that you do or your self-talk about yourself. It's something that's really, it's something like I know for me, I had a really, really bad temper. I would blow up instantly. And then I had to do I learned distress tolerance and emotional regulation. And it took me a long time to get to a place where I wasn't reactive. And this is, to be honest, just recently. And even sometimes I still slip up. And if I get triggered the right way, I lose it. And when you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't align with you, they will bring out those triggers and you'll trigger each other. And then you're like, well, I had these skills. What's wrong with that? And sometimes it's just showing you a part of yourself just to remind you hey, this is what it is. And you have to really take a big evaluation of the situation you're in. And are you respecting yourself? Are you putting yourself first still? Are you maintaining those boundaries? Are you still using your checklist? Since that person came into your life, are you still doing and actively putting yourself first? Because I guarantee you're not, if that's the outcome you're getting. And I truly, truly believe that when you are being authentically yourself and you're putting yourself first and you are so happy being alone that you couldn't even imagine anybody coming in, because you are so whole, that's when they come in.
Mm-hmm. You're preaching to the choir, Janice.
And yeah, I was very, very passionate about loving your single life just as much as you would love your life, inside of a relationship. And that's one reason, is that you make such better decisions when you're in a relationship, because you're so confident and knowing that you'll be okay without it as well. And so it makes it easier to walk away when it's not serving you, or not, making you excited about life and excited about the relationship every single day.
And sometimes it's not even walking away forever. Sometimes it's simply just walking away for the moment. If you truly believe that something's really there, but they're bringing out certain things in you that you don't like, I just call it an evaluation time. It's a self-evaluation where you get yourself back on track. And then if you decide to enter that relationship again, then it's a test to see, okay, I'm good. And then if you maintain everything during that break while you're trying again, and those still things get triggered and the same reaction happens, then it's just really not meant to be. Because I don't believe, like, you meet somebody, you're with them, and then something happens, you get in a fight and you're like, oh, you fought with me. Like, no, like, you have to work, you have to build, you can't just walk away when things get tough. But at the same time, it's all about patterns. And if you work together and you grow together and you communicate effectively and you have conflict resolution effectively, then that's a different story. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is just making sure that you do not change any aspect of yourself when you're at a state of being healed and being happy. And that's kind of like my main part. And I know for me, is especially now, oh my gosh, like, even if I went on a couple of dates right now, like, I am not in a good place to be with somebody. Like, I just cried all week over my ex-husband. Like, no, I should not be entering a relationship right now. I'm going through a divorce. I have so many feelings that haven't been felt yet. So any relationship or any date or whatever it is that I would bring into my life, it won't be successful because I'm not whole.
And that's why it's good to have the period of being single before you date again, and that you're really confident and happy with your life as it is before you start, inviting other people into it.
Exactly.
Well, this is the very reason why I wanted you on here today, Kaye, is because we bring on a lot of professionals who talk about how to date, who to date, finding yourself, how do you communicate, how do you do this, how do you do that? And I really wanted you on here because I wanted people to know that they could relate to somebody like you. Somebody who's been through some hard times and some trauma, children, divorce, all these things, and can become a stronger, healthier, happier person even past the divorce. That you can communicate with your spouse and become a co-parent, that you can find yourself and find new love in the future. I wanted people to be able to see you and relate to you and say, oh God, I'm not alone. And that's,
and they're definitely not. And healing isn't linear. And right before this, like, my ex and I are texting back and forth about how, like, we still have things that we're working through. Like, he refuses to even see me right now. I'm not perfect. Like, every co-parenting style is different. And you have to remember, like, time is so important, and everybody's healing journey is important. So as long as you stay, and I know sometimes it is so hard to bite your tongue, because trust me, there are times when I would love to scream and kick and have that tantrum, but it's just not worth it at the end. And you're just giving in to the same old patterns. It's like, trust me, I get it. And I still, like, there are moments, and there always will be moments, and those moments will never stop, unfortunately. And I'm so sorry to tell you that. But right before I came in here, we were still having a thing, and we both see things differently, and we're not eye to eye right now. And again, it is what it is. Healing is not linear. Going through a divorce is not linear. Everybody goes through stages at different times. So when he's at the acceptance and moving on stage. Well, I'm just at the, oh crap, I'm getting a divorce stage. And when he was at the angry stage, I was in the denial stage. So you have to like be, again, empathetic, kind, respectful. And if you give out that vibration, then no matter what they do, just don't allow it to affect you as much as possible.
Agreed.
Take that time to breathe. I am nowhere near perfect. I have made so many mistakes, big mistakes, huge mistakes that have impacted my entire life, where my life has literally fell apart. But the point is that you get back up, you rebuild yourself, and those become life lessons that completely change you as a person. So when you enter the new stage of your life, you go, okay, well, this isn't baggage. This is my carry-on that allows me to have the tools so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of what you were saying earlier about the accountability factor in life. And that is really hard for a lot of people. Well, to recognize where it is that they could probably put focus.
Nobody wants to be accountable for their shadow self. Nobody wants to look themselves in the mirror and be like, you know what? After I lost my son, I left my children for a couple of months. I saw them on weekends. I saw them every day. I made them dinner. But I didn't live here. That's a hard truth. I'm their mother. How can I tell myself that I moved out of my own home with my children in there?
Well, grief is traumatic. Grief will hit you in the ass so hard, and you don't know how you're going to respond until it happens to you. You have no idea.
And that's when grace entered. And you have to allow yourself grace, and you have to allow yourself to not feel that shame. And it took me a very long time. I ended up having write journals, write your thoughts, write your feelings. I was asked to write an article that got published in Authority magazine about 5 ways to heal after like a dramatic loss or life change. And just writing my story, I remember after I was covered in sores. I thought I was dying. I go to the doctor and I was like, what's wrong with my face? Like I couldn't even show my face. And he said, have you been like really stressed out lately? And all my trauma and stress came out in sores while I was typing my story. And now I have like my article like framed on my wall where I look at it and I go, oh my God, how resilient am I? How strong am I? Yeah, I made a mistake. But for me, every time I was in this house, I was like, my water broke there. I gave birth to my son there. This is where my ex and I had everything was trauma. And all I wanted to do was to not associate with my life anymore because I couldn't bear it. So I thought, hey, if I just leave it, then it doesn't exist anymore. And I ran. I chose to run because that was my like response, was just to go. And to get myself back in that house, which I'm in right now, it was hard. It's hard to face your truth and it's hard to face your reality. But again, it's all about that mindset. As soon as I learned to switch it into, I'm not woman enough to like carry a child, it was more of, how strong am I that I carried and birthed a child that didn't survive and I came out on the other side. And it's just all about grace. Grace is a huge thing.
Yeah. You know, it's been 12 years since my divorce. My children were 16, 13, and 3.
I feel the 3.
I had to raise them by myself. I had nothing. I had no one. All my friends left with the ex. I didn't have a job. It was a lot. And I was now having to raise 3 kids. I think I had 4 jobs now. I was starting my own business. I was hustling. I was trying to make things work. And I was trying not to be angry so much, which I was a lot. And, you know, here it is 12 years later, and my oldest is 28, my middle is 25, and my youngest is 15. And I'm thinking, yeah, we got through it. We survived it. And we did. But, you know, my daughter even said last night, my oldest one was here, and she was talking about her drug addiction. in her late teens, and how I didn't notice, and how my comment one day that she was in a really great mood and whatever she was doing to keep it up. And her comment was that she was on drugs. And so she thought, well, and then that made me feel like it was my fault. And I have to stop and think, and I said to her, what the hell? Why would you say that to me? And I said, did you stop to think that maybe I, as a human and as a woman, felt that everything was my fault? That even though it wasn't, that I took all that on, and that I had to raise children by myself, and I had to live through this trauma by myself. And, my children survived. My daughter's no longer addicted to drugs. She's an amazing human being. She got over that years and years and years ago, but we all survived it. And you're right. We have to give ourselves grace. Like, I've been kicking myself all day thinking, I ruined my kids' life because I wasn't perfect. And I just can't think that way. I have to think, you know what? I've taught them to be strong. I've taught them to be resilient, and they need to find their own way. All I can do is just be the best example that I can possibly be. And maybe there were times I wasn't. I know I'm not a perfect mom. I know that I've disappointed them, but you know what? That's life, and they're going to learn to grow from that. So hopefully.
No, and 100% they did. And I think vulnerability is a huge, huge thing. And I am trying to teach my children emotion regulation so strongly right now because A, it helps me stay on track. And B, when they see me crying, if I saw my mom cry, I would be like, ew, it wasn't, mental health, seeing a therapist, talking about your problems wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It's changing a little bit, but it's still pretty taboo. And for me, I'm so spiritual that yesterday for my birthday, I just bawled, and I went to my children. I was like, I don't have it all. So every time you ask me for more, it makes me feel like I'm not enough.
Yes.
And I tell them, I tell them that, and mine are 8, 6, and 4. And I'm always honest, and I'm always straight. I said, mommy's money is going towards bills. Yep. Mom is always doing 10 billion things because I have to. I don't live with my parents to help me. I have support. I do. I'm not fully alone. And honestly, if I didn't have my dad, I call my dad my new husband because he is here constantly. And I was like, sorry, Mom, I replaced you. But I'm very fortunate to have a support system, because I give you so much. Single moms who do it alone, fully alone. I'm going to cry because I can't even fathom.
Yeah. It's
but
difficult.
For me is being open and being vulnerable. And me and all my kids, we spent about 15 minutes just crying together.
Yeah.
And you know what?
That's great.
It was beautiful. We all cried, and it was healing. And then we talked about it. What do you feel? Why are you feeling this way? Is there anything you want to talk about anything? And then I followed up with, do you want to speak to a professional? Do you think by talking to somebody who doesn't know you, that has the tools in the toolbox to help you with something really specific, would that be better for you? And I think then it humanizes you a little bit when you come down to their level, where you go, hey, I know what it's like to want to scream and go on the floor and kick and punch. Yeah, mommy can do that sometimes. I want to do that. Oh, you're crying? You want to scream and yell? All right, let's do it together. Take them on that hike. Scream with them. And when they see you experiencing those same emotions, that's a beautiful thing. It allows them to be like, hey, you're not much different than I am. And the way you think, you're an adult, but you think and feel the same way I do. Everybody, no matter what, even I'm scared about, let's say, an outcome of what my future is going to look like. Because everything's, until those divorce papers are finalized, until court or whatever becomes finalized, my future is literally in the hands of somebody else. That's really scary.
It is.
But for them, they're scared of, my family's torn apart. And now like a new woman's entering. And does that mean that, like, they called me like, is daddy going to push us out? What if he has another baby with her? It's like, are they going to replace? And these are real conversations. And I'm like, no, daddy loves you. And he's never going to push you away. And you're always going to be a family. Like, even daddy and I, we're always going to be a family, regardless of what that family looks like. He's always going to be your dad, and I'm always going to be your mom. And they're scared, their feeling of being scared and my feeling of being scared, even though they're about two separate situations, we both feel that. So when you can come together as a collective, you have to do it like honestly, like appropriately for their, you know, their little developing brains, but allowing themselves to, again, have that space where they can feel seen and heard, and allowing themselves to have that space where they don't feel judged is the greatest gift you can give. So when you go to your doctor, you go, hey, I tried my best, and like, this is what I thought, and this is what I was doing. And you explained to, like, what else could I have? And you just brought yourself down to their level. Then they go, oh,
yeah.
And again, it's all about that empathy.
It is. It really is. Well, Kate, I'm so sorry that time flies so damn fast when we're having a good time. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your heart and your story with us today. You're amazing, and I'd love to have you back. And Janice, thank you for co-hosting with me today. I appreciate you always. And I hate to go. Thank you, everyone who came to listen to us today. We appreciate you coming and spending your time with us. And until next week, same time, same place, keep it real.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.